It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard. You liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out, and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
Yes. And I lost my microphone. And we are hot this morning. Happy Monday, everybody. You're tuned in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. My name is Theo Broden. We thank you so much for tuning in. And my co-host,
The BD, welcome to the program.
and we have to say good morning to all of you that we have come across over the weekend and before. And I got to say good morning to Diane Crawford. And I got to say good morning to Vera and to Al and Barbara and Ron. Good morning to Errol and to Tom Barrow. And there's just so many people. I met somebody named Paula recently who watches the show. And who are you saying good morning to? All these new folks.
Yeah, and a couple of new people in particular, Teresa Jackson, Frida Washington, and our dedicated viewers, Ruth Ann, Sister Jackie, Sister Shane, Brother Shane, I'm sorry, along with Fred and Miss Sheila Ragland. We appreciate all of you and ask your neighbors, friends, family to tune in and have pen and paper handy for information you may want to record.
Oh, yeah. We have so many things going on, and we have with us this morning the great organizer in Miss Lori Parks.
Good morning.
She's right in the D15.
Yes.
Tell us about it, Lori.
The D15 is Detroit fast food workers, home care workers, and child care workers, and all low-wage workers fighting to get $15 an hour and a union so that they can have a voice in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. And it seems that our governor is working awfully hard to reduce the number of people who have union representation. And
Yes.
It's admirable what you're doing. Tell us, who is Lori Parks?
Well, Lori Parks is a mother of 4 daughters, 11 grandchildren, and I am a organizer because this is my passion. I started out as a nursing home worker, and while I was in the workplace, I noticed that we didn't have a voice at that time. So I organized my nursing home 25 years ago. Under the leadership of SEIU, who helped me. And right now, today, they still have that contract that I first negotiated, and they have built on it. So if you've been there 20 years, you get 5 weeks vacation and 13 sick days. You have you get certain benefits. After you've been there a year or two, you receive vacation pay, you receive paid time off, you receive health insurance, and before that, no one, they didn't have that voice to sit at the table with the employer to negotiate these things. And also labor and management has a clause in the contract where if there's anything that goes wrong in that facility, you have a right to grieve it, and you have a right to sit at the table and negotiate what should be done and how it should be done.
The UAW needs Lori Parks. The contract sounds really, really good. It's sad that we had to have a governor who is hell-bent on not only destroying the union, but with a little trick, what do they call it?
Right to work.
Yeah, as if he really meant that. And then destroying or continuing to destroy our school system in the process.
Correct.
Oh man, you know.
I just want to
Go ahead.
ask, what is SEIU?
SEIU is Service Employee International Union. We are the biggest union, the largest union, I should say, in North America.
Wow.
Whoa,
Right.
the largest union in North America.
Yes.
Wow. And just think, who they got the right person out there rallying the troops.
And that's correct. So, you know, Labor Day is coming up.
Uh-huh.
And Labor Day is very important here in Michigan. We have a march that's going to happen on Labor Day. So the troops at SEIU and the D15 are going to be having this big rally before the march, which will be meeting at King Solomon Baptist Church. That's at 6100 14th Street. We'll be meeting there at 6 a.m. where you can get coffee and donuts. And by 7, we will have an action that will be nearby that the fast food workers and the hospital workers will be joining together. Because as you know, most hospital workers make low wages too, and the maintenance and laundry and housekeeping. So they are making the same amount of money as McDonald's workers.
Wow.
So people don't see that. People think a lot of times when you work in a hospital that you make a lot of money. No, it's a lot of hospitals that are not union organized now. So we are trying to show the disparities between hospital workers and fast food workers.
Wow.
Most hospital workers do start off at the lower wages. You know, they don't provide health insurance a lot of times, even though they are a hospital. Right.
Yeah. No health insurance.
Correct.
I joined in a protest with the hospital workers from DMC. This has been some years ago, and they were protesting there up and down on Woodward Avenue because of the unjust, treatment that they were getting then. And it appears that it hasn't gotten much better. And even maybe 3 years ago or so, where the mayor had helped get rid of 600 nurses from DMC.
Correct.
Do you have any of the nurses contacted for support?
Yes, we have a lot of nurses that are on board. Like at St. John is one of the hospitals where, the nurses have been disenfranchised there. They would like to, the nurses, the dietary, housekeeping, laundry, a lot of those workers are making low wages. So I want people to understand that when you make low wages and you work for a company that has billions of dollars that can provide you with the necessary funds so that you can provide for your family. We're not asking the mom and pop stores to raise the wages up to 15, but if you work for a McDonald's or you work for a Beaumont, all of those companies make billions. Walmart, and if you pay just, let's say you pay 3 zip codes in the city of Detroit a livable wage from the McDonald's, the Walmart, the Wendy's, or the Burger King, just imagine how much money when those workers come out of those stores, what they will spend in just those 3 or 4 zip codes. How we can give back to the community. We provide better police services. We can get money for our schools that is desperately needed. It's a lot of things that those funds can do once those workers walk out of those jobs with a livable wage.
Yeah. Okay, sure. We got a caller, Lord, maybe for you.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please? You're on the air, caller.
Channel 3, Detroit.
Thanks for calling.
I like to applaud that union for its success, but you should know by now, all of us, that the objective of this governor is to destroy unions. That right there should give you the strength to take this union thing a step further. What you're talking about that you can do for the union members can be done for every black citizen in the city of Detroit. If you can have a small union like what you have, you can have a citywide union just as well. This thing that I'm advocating is $7 a month. How much are your union dues? I bet they a whole lot more than $7 a month. You wouldn't know how many millions of dollars we would bring in just a matter of 1 month. Not even speak of 6 months or a year every black citizen paid $7. And, you know, I was talking to one host on the program, and he had first words out of his mouth was, what am I going to get out of it? You're going to get out of it the same thing that this union is getting out of it. You understand? You're going to have a voice. It's going to be one man and one voice. With the site is trying to destroy unions, that right there should tell you something. That he want to get rid of one voice and one man. This is the things that we should be acquiring as opposed to anything else. This should be all the activist agenda, to pull everybody together. Things they do to us, they could not do to us if all of us. Everybody's talking about getting together and doing something. You really have to do it, and it has to be a monetary scenario. It can't be anything else. Anybody looking for no special status. This ain't to uplift no activists or no preacher or no teacher. This is about all of us being involved, because when they do things to us, they do it to all of us. So when we reply to something they do to us, it must be all of us fighting it. So this thing about a union with these workers, this needs to be applied across the board. And they couldn't do this to us. And thanks for taking my call.
Well, thank you for calling. I like that kind of energy and passion. And,
Yes.
and tell us once again when, where, time, all of that.
Okay. First, we're going to have a coalition partners meeting. That's anyone who wants to join in with us. We're going to talk about the action plan, and that will be held at the Dabo Center, 12048 Grand River, on August the 31st at 2 p.m.
What
That's
day is August 31st?
Thursday.
Thursday, August
Yes,
31st.
Thursday,
Okay.
August 31st, 12048 Grand River, and that's at the corner of Wyoming at 2 p.m. We'll be having a partners meeting. That means anyone, home care, child care, community people, clergy, we would like to come out so that we can give you a little more detail on how the day would run for that September the 4th Labor Day action. And on Labor Day, which is Monday, September the 4th,
Okay.
at 6 p.m., we'll start meeting at the historical King Solomon Baptist Church. And that's at 6100 14th Street,
Time again?
6 a.m.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Yes, and then we'll have transportation. You'll be able to park there, and we'll have shuttles shuttling you to the event. And then right after that, if you would like to join into the Labor Day March, we have to call it a march. Now we can't call it a parade anymore. And we'll have people going there to the march at Michigan and Trumbull is where they'll start at 9 o'clock.
Okay. Now, tell us why we can't call it a parade anymore.
Well, because they would, if you call it a parade now, the city will have to charge you, I think it's like $35,000 to $38,000 for the extra security that they say the police. So that's one reason, and they have not done it before now, and they do not charge the Thanksgiving Day parade.
Yeah.
And probably the Tigers games, do they charge for them? I
No.
heard that the Tigers pay for police protection.
No, and nor does the NFL football.
But for some interesting reason, because there is an issue about supporting
Unions, correct,
now all of a sudden they want to charge thousands of dollars.
correct.
Navidi?
I'm just curious, does the SEIU also cover like people who work in the retail industry, like let's say Targets and places like that? Because I don't know how big their scope is. I know we got so many things like AFSCME, you name it, there's a lot of unions. So I was just wondering.
Well,
who
the
do they-
retail usually is separate. You know, usually they have an organizing team, but they are also working for the same goal that we are, you know. But we are mostly hospital and fast food.
And healthcare workers.
Yes. Well, healthcare, yes. We have home care, child care,
Okay,
and fast food.
okay. So we want people who are involved in any of those industries to come Thursday, August 31st
Yes.
at 2 p.m.
Yes.
And the meeting is going to be held at the Daybo Center on Grand River at Wyoming.
Yes. 12048 Grand River.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you were gonna say?
No, I was just going to say after these comments, we're going to take a brief break because our other guests are here as well.
Okay. All right. And then Monday, you're going
Monday.
to have the meeting at the church.
Yes, we're going to be, that's the actual parade, march that we're going to be having.
Okay.
Starting at 6 a.m. We have our Secretary of Treasurer for SEIU, Jerry Hudson, is going to be here.
Okay.
We have a couple of candidates, I believe, for governor that will be speaking at this event.
On
Yes,
Monday?
on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I need everyone to come out and support.
Okay.
Everyone is welcome. You know, children, everyone.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we want to thank you, Lori Parks. Really appreciate you being here with us this morning.
And I thank you guys for having me.
Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinda,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you.
Feedback, feedback, feedback.
And we are back. We're back with Manson McCann, and he is one of the organizers and chairperson for the
D15, yes.
D15. Now, first, would you tell us, Manson McCann, who is Manson McCann?
Well, first of all, Manson McCann is what you would call an organizer. I am the person who actually talks to the people. I get the people to riled up. I get them to believe into themselves, get them to understand what a fight is, not a physical fight, but a political fight or a stand-up fight or, fight back what your voice means, the power of voting. I mean, I give it all to them. And then once that is instilled in them, we can get some activation out of them because a lot of us have a lot of fight in us, but it takes somebody to pull that out, and that's the kind of person I am. I'm the one that pulls the fight out you.
Oh, okay. And that gets it going in the correct direction.
Absolutely.
You were saying something?
No, I was just saying it's a good thing to be able to channel the energy because a lot of people are looking for someone to lead, and then they don't mind following, but just to be able to pull that energy out of them. So yeah, that's a good thing. And how well is that going?
Oh, well, I can say it's working wonderful. Once you know, a lot of times when you talk about people who come from a lot of urban areas such as we do, we have a lot of anger built up in us anyway. But the good thing is when we get a hold to the folks and we go out here and we do our fighting, we are peaceful protesters. So we have a way of channeling some of that displaced anger sometime, and we turn it into a positive shout in the fight, and we turn out well. And it's been going on for the last few years. The Fight for 15 is getting stronger. It's working in other cities and states across this country. Michigan is just we're on the way, we're on the rise. So everybody who comes out with us is motivated because they're organized well, such as myself and other organizers who are actually here with me too.
Well, I know that you all do have opportunities to travel outside of the state.
Yes.
There are some other cities that have already agreed, and the businesses have begun paying the $15 an hour.
Yes.
Can you tell us some of those cities are?
Well, New York, Seattle, Baltimore, Philadelphia, California, some parts of Texas, Ohio. They're getting it on the ballot. They're getting ready to start voting on it. Illinois has starting to adopt it. I mean, it's Coleman A. Young. I mean, everybody here is trying to adopt the Fight for 15 because we understand that $15 is not a lot of money anyway, but we're at least trying to get people a little separation from poverty and, you know, make it a livable wage instead of a minimum wage. You know, if you're telling me something is the minimum, that means you're telling me I'm at the bottom. So if you can tell me that I can make something that's livable, I can manage with that.
Yeah. Well, that's 8 large locations. When you talk about New York, they have millions of people. California has millions of people.
Yes.
But that's 8 different locations that you have mentioned that have already agreed to it. Now, are you trying to get the corporations to just voluntarily agreeing, or are you trying to put this on the ballot, or what?
Well, you know, there's a saying, by hook or crook. You know, we would love for the corporations to agree with us and say, hey, you know what, we are $1 billion corporations. We can, you know, supply you guys with the things that you need. We can pay you a livable wage where you don't need the state to give you assistance, where you still don't need Medicaid, where you still don't need food stamps. I think if the corporations all bellied up and said, let's do this for our workers and give them what they deserve, or you know, a livable wage, I think that would be great. But even if we can get it on the ballot to where the states, the government, the federal government take action to help him, even if they wanted to do 50-50 or what have you, you know, and just come up with a livable wage for the people in that state, then I think that would work as well. But let me say one thing to you though about those states and cities that have adopted it. Most of them are doing this incrementally, and a lot of people don't realize that. They think that they're going to go from $7 or $8 straight to 15, and that's not the case.
Okay, how are they going to do it?
Well, let's just take for instance, in 2000 and what's this coming up, 18, Ohio was supposed to get $2 more, which they're at like $8.10 now. So they would have got like $2 more. That would have put them at 10. And then 18, they would have got another $1. 19, they would have got another $1. By 2020, the $15 increase would be took place. So it will give it wouldn't be a shock to the system of government or capital gain. You know, you won't have to the corporations. So you would be able to adjust, you know, fiscally every year to the raise that your employees have gotten.
I understand that. It is an opportunity for people to understand how they can help themselves. But you know, it's disappointing that here in the city of Detroit, we have so many thousands of jobs, city jobs, but yet many of them have been privatized. And with the privatization, many of the replaced workers are not residents of the city anymore. So I'm glad that you all are fighting for the D15, a livable wage. And we are glad to have you here to encourage people to join you.
Yes.
Now, this coming Thursday,
Yes.
August 31st, what is happening?
We have a coalition meeting held over at 12048 Grand River. I believe that's a Dabo Center there. August 31st. It should be around 2 p.m.
Okay.
And what you can do is, if you want to come and learn a little bit more about the Fight for 15, you want to learn a little bit more about how you can be a part of it, how you can be a supporter, just show up there. Come, you probably get you some T-shirts, get you a prize or something. You might get you a little chicken or something. I mean, Miss Parks, who you just had on here, she's very well at hosting these events, and she makes sure that if nothing else gets done, you're gonna eat there, and you will get educated.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Yes.
Now, okay. Now, can people who are not in those particular industries join your union? You talk about support. What kind of support? Then we're going to the phone line.
Well, the support comes from the community.
Yes.
It also comes from other employees who work in other areas, such as nursing. I mean, if
Okay.
even if you're in the auto field, you can come out and support those who are trying to fight to get where you are. So, you know, we should never forget where we come from. And for those who are already have the luxury of being in a union, I think that even if they come out to support those who are trying to get into the union, I think that that would give the ones who are trying a whole bigger boost to continue to fight.
Okay. Caller?
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
Slide Stone, Slide Gold. I'm on the riverfront, so I don't know if we're going to get disconnected. And it was hard for me to hear everything, so Theo, make sure I get the information and attend the meeting that this man is talking about.
Okay.
It made me think about how United Snakes is a corporation now. And so by all this corporatizing and authoritizing and regionalizing, the people are constantly getting pushed back. I just saw another lady that worked for the city, and they are laying folks off from the city and bringing other folks that don't look like you and me with no experience and paying them double the amount of money that they were paying the folks that they're getting rid of. So it just constantly reminds me how United States versus United States of America, if you look it up, we've been corporatized. So, and capitalism, of course.
Right.
And I'll see you down here, I guess, later, okay?
All righty.
Love you all.
All right, love you too. Thanks for calling.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us?
Tyrone, over the internet. I would like to, for your guests, when they say they're going to do it incrementally because it'd be a shock to the system, that's lying. That means as they incrementally give the raises, also inflation come about, eats up what the wages that they incrementally gave, because it's not a shock to the system, it's a shock to their profits, such as when a worker under capitalism goes to work, goes to the employment office to get hired, they say, I'll give you so much money an hour. But once and he hadn't did no work, but once he start working, what they promised to give him and what he makes in the process of working is where all profit comes from. So if they hold the wages down on the basis that they tell you that wage raise will raise prices. It has absolutely nothing to do with prices. Have an invert relationship economically to profit, because when they hired you for $8 an hour at McDonald's, but in the course of your work you made much more than $8 than all the other workers. So he's there protecting their profit. So you got to beat them on the argument when they tell me that if you get a raise, they got to go up on my hamburger. I know different because the hamburger price, it has nothing to do with wages at all.
Thank you.
I hope that'll help you some.
Thank you for your input. Do you have a response?
I surely
but
do.
Anyway, go ahead.
I surely do. But to the first caller, let me give her that information again, and then I will address the second caller. For the first caller, we will be at the Dabo Center. That's located at 12048 Grand River, August 31st, 2 p.m. That's this Thursday for the coalition meeting. So that is where we will be. Now, to address the guy who says that incremental raise will affect the cost of his hamburger. Well, to be truthful, he is right in a sense. Let's look at GM, Ford, and Chrysler. They'll sell you a car at $35,000 right now, and everybody might get a raise this year. How do they recoup that money? That same car next year will be $37,000 because of a different radio. You see what I'm saying? Right. So that's how they recoup the money, but no one who buys Cadillacs, Buicks, or Fords are saying, well, I don't think I should pay an extra $2,000 for a different radio, but they buy it anyway. Yeah. So I say that to say this, even if you get a raise at any job that you are working at, of course, something is gonna have to happen. That means business is good. I haven't met anybody in this generation who has automatically started cooking, who has just all of a sudden learned how to cook. This is probably the most non-cooking generation I've ever seen, and so they're not going to all of a sudden start cooking. Right. They're going to continue to go to fast food restaurants. And for that caller, let me give you a real shock to the system. In 2003, when gas was $1.50 and then it shot up to $4, did anybody at this table get a raise to meet that that standard of gas?
Did not.
Did you get a raise? Did you get a raise? No one in this building got a raise. I didn't. No one in this country got a raise to offset that gas price jump. It wasn't incremental. It was instantaneously. And guess what? People stopped driving their cars. People couldn't get places. They couldn't afford it. People were making sacrifices. People started getting back on the bus. Public transportation wasn't even running good. So there were a lot of people who were affected by that. So you mean to tell me that if McDonald's choose to give their workers some money over the course of a few years, and your hamburger may go from the $5 that it is now to about $7.50, you're gonna stop buying it? You're buying it at $5 at $8.40 now. So why wouldn't you buy it at $7 at $15?
Makes me think about the increase in price of cigarettes. It hasn't stopped anybody from buying. I remember it was like $1 a pack or something.
Look, I'm a former smoker. $8, and in some cities, you go to Illinois, they're like $12, $13. But that's beside the point. Right. We fight for the livable wage. We are a peaceful protest. We do believe that this, and don't get me wrong, no one is trying to stay in these places forever, because that's the big misconception. The people think that once the raise get there, that these folks would be comfortable enough to live in these jobs. No one, and I can tell, and I'll probably be 100% accurate. If you walk to every fast food employee there, none of them ever walked in and said, I'm gonna put 30 years in here. None of them. But there are people who have been there for 30 years. So you would have to applaud that worker once for continuous work, not stopping. You don't know what that worker have tried within those 30 years. May have tried to get a business but failed. May have tried to get further education but couldn't. May have tried to get into the big three but didn't. So just because that person is there, you have to applaud them for working, one. And then two, you can't just open your eyes and say, well, they want to live there. That's all they know. No, you don't know that. I've worked in these restaurants. I worked in 3 of them. You know what I mean? I worked in one for 3 years, was running it. I was making $8.54 an hour in 1996 as a manager in one of these restaurants. So I know the money is there. If I'm making what minimum wage is, if I was making what minimum wage is now back in 1996 at a fast food restaurant, I'm quite sure that they can give someone $15 an hour, so that maybe they can get that book written, they can get it published, they can get to the studio, they can get their paint supplies, they can go back to school, they can pay for a class.
Right.
That's what the money is there for, not for people to just sit back and live off of it.
Wrong, yay! He gets round up. If people want to go, they want to participate.
Yeah, they should.
All right, that's very good.
They
And
should.
you know, not only that, even if the large fast food restaurants were to increase all the way to 15, so it takes part of their profit. If they're making $60 billion, they can write that off, whatever the increase is. They have excellent accountants,
Oh, absolutely.
an excellent system. They can write it off. So I'm not even concerned about that small amount of profit that they may
Miss
have
Theo,
to sacrifice. Oh, poor fast food
Right.
restaurant. They're killing people anyway. Go ahead.
Miss Theo, you know, I have this saying. I say, you know, to the corporations, you know, we don't want all your money. We just want you to go from a Bentley to a Benz so we can ride a good Buick. That's it.
All right.
Right.
all
You know,
right.
I mean, you can still have your luxury. You know, you ain't got to have a Bentley. Get your 2-3 Benzes. Can I get a Buick out the deal? You know what I'm saying? So I can get out the hoopty. So I can at least live up to par. So I can be paid for my sacrifices. You
And
know?
you can have heat and air in the car.
I'm kind of woo-wee.
Before I take this caller, years ago I did because I'm a writer, poet, lyricist, that kind of thing, but I did a thing called Everyday Man, and it was pretty much about what we're dealing with now, the struggles of people who are not making adequate money to take care of their families. But in it, I got a verse that says, minimum wage means minimum life. It's getting harder to feed my kids and wife. And I took that personally because I looked at it, the people who have to deal with this, they still have families, they have things that they have to take care of. And so if you say, as you said, and I agree, if you say minimum wage, that means you give me the bare minimum
What you can possibly
yeah,
give me.
Yeah, and that's not good, you know, as opposed to a livable wage. So we'll go to this caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
This is Kenny. I'm viewing you on my phone
Okay, thank you for coming. Go
right
ahead.
now. But you know what? It's sad that we got people saying that people don't need no raise to go up to 15. When you got people that sitting up here can't pay certain bills, can't, you know, they want a lot of guys up because they have to choose between child support and everything else that they have to do. When these corporates is making billions off these people and things, and then you got people talking about what people don't need because they went to a place and this person wasn't doing what he's supposed to do. That ain't got nothing to do with the wages. That got to do with the supervisor not making them do the job. These folks need to get paid $15 so they can live and do other things. People always talking about what they ain't doing and stuff. They can't afford to. Hell, I couldn't afford to do stuff when I was certain stuff, and I was making $16 an hour before I retired. So you imagine what $8 do for you. You know what I'm saying? And then if they pay these people up high, the state will win on one hand because they can cut a lot of these folks off of certain services where they ain't got to give to them. They don't see it that way. Pay these people where they can live and take care of their families and their kids and feel good about themselves. And I thank you for taking my call.
Amen.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
And for those who agree with Kenny, what do you want them to do?
Yeah, I mean,
August
listen.
31st,
August
September
31st. Come on out and join us at our coalition meeting at 12048 Grand River. That's the Dabo Center over there. It'll be at 2 p.m. Come on, get some of this good information that we have for you as far as the Fight for 15, some of the successes, some of the coalition people, some of the what you call dignitaries that come by and support. We get a lot of council members and representatives and people who come in and they peek in down on a D15 and they like what we're doing. So I can tell you one thing though, I really do appreciate what the brother just said because he's really looking at it from what it is. And a lot of people look at it from the outer side, and when you're looking at it from the outer limits, then you can't really see what's going on. So sometimes you have to get inside and you have to be that person in order to see it. CEOs, all these billionaires, they have the same problems that we have. They got child support issues. They got drinking issues. Some of them don't have proper education. They just fell into the money. Some of them are abusive and, negative in their approach about things. But the thing about it is they have the money to settle those things a little bit faster than us. So whatever put us in the circumstances has nothing to do with the way we work. Because somebody may have caught a case and he has a felony, or because someone may have dropped out but got a GED instead of a high school diploma, or because someone may not have gotten the proper way of thinking on how to put this car together, but once he touched it, he was able to put it together, because some people learn like this and not like this. Some people got it in their hands, and I have to touch things. I learn by simply touching. I can read all day long, but if I don't touch it, it can't happen for me. So that's the way I learn. So I think we should be paid according to what we do and how we work, regardless of what field we're in. Look at the money they're making. The fast food person who runs these corporations is making just as much money as the Fords and the Chryslers of this world, or maybe even more, because they brag about it. Billions served. You see what I'm saying? They brag about it. Billions served. And there's going to continue to be billions. They even starting to put numbers over 10 billion served, over 30 billion served. Remember, it was just started with billions. So they brag about it. So here we are, we asking about it, and then there'll be people who will say, y'all don't need that. I disagree with them.
We're going to get this next caller in. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us?
Yes, this is Tyrone again. I called back because your guest didn't understand me. What I was saying to you, I was saying that prices, wages have nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with prices. Now, when the headquarters when you ask for $15 an hour, the headquarters tell me, the customer, well, they'll ask for a little more money, so I got to charge you more for this quarter pounder. Well, my interest is not to pay as much for the quarter pounder. And he's lying to me. And if you, representing labor, can't expose his lie and go along that, yes, there is a relationship between prices and wages, then you can't defend yourself, because I'm going to be only interested in paying $3 for the quarter pounder, and not you get the wage and how you live, because I'm going to save money for myself. So you got to be able to defend the workforce according to the real economy. And in anything in capitalism, the trick is this. When you get hired, they say $5 an hour. But when you go to work, you make way more than $5 an hour. That's where profit comes from. And when you ask for wage increase, it comes out of profit. It does not come out of raise the price on the hamburger of quarter pounder at all.
Okay,
Maybe you need to look at that a little closer so you can defend yourself and to the customer.
Thank you for your input, Tyrone. I disagree with you. And if it causes you not to pay more for a hamburger, that's for your health benefit, whether you know it or not. Go ahead, man.
But here's what I'm saying, how he says that wages are not tied to profit. I beg to differ. I used to run these joints, right? And there's something that they call, the hourly thing. It's a profit. They'll send people home because they'll save money by not paying this individual because of the profit that they're not making within that hour. So your wages is directly tied into the profit. So how can he say that? So I don't want to argue with the brother, but it's directly tied into your wages is directly tied into the profit.
Right.
So of course he already knows that the hamburger, they're not lying to you. If they say that these people are trying to get a raise, so we're going to have to up the ante on this hamburger, they're not lying to you. That's the truth.
Right.
If they want to keep their profit and not lower their bottom line, then they're going to have to do something to do that. The only way that they won't raise it is if they don't care about their own bottom line. They'll just run it the way that it is. So
I know they're not about to do that.
I disagree with him strongly.
But I do think that people need to be more concerned about their health and what's happening in the fast food restaurants.
Yes.
So anyway, and on Monday, we're gonna take a break in a second. And on Monday,
Yes, on Monday, Labor Day, we have
September
September the 4th. We have a huge action. You can meet us over at 6100 14th Street. That's King Solomon Church over there, Pastor Williams. You can meet us over there at 5 a.m. actually, because we start at 6 a.m. Our actions always start on time. The early bird catches the worm. We coming out in strong numbers. We just want the people to come out and show that they do support others who are trying to get somewhere in their life and not just be on the bottom.
absolutely. And as Kenny said, when he called in, with all of the energy that he expressed when he called in, and all of the energy that you're expressing now, and what Lori was sharing when she came on with us at 9, it's going to be successful.
It's powerful. It's powerful. Yes. It gets bigger and bigger. I remember a few years ago when they thought we were crazy, and it was just a few of us standing in front of a McDonald's. Now we're up to about thousands of people. Other cities come in. We go places, like you say, we move abroad.
Right.
I mean, we go everywhere where there's a fight for higher wages, where there's a fight for a livable wage, where there's a fight for people. Look, everything in this country that is good has came off the back of a fight. This country is notorious for telling people no.
Yes.
Black people, we want to be free. Are you serious? We fought for it, we got it. LBGT, we want our own voice. For real, they shouted about it, they got it. Everything.
It's not time yet.
No, we got to keep fighting. No, we got to keep fighting.
And as the cost of living continues to rise.
That's right.
Why do you have to stay at $8?
Right. Why am I waiting for my pockets to grow when the things are moving further and further away from me? I can't get car insurance. I can't get a decent car. I got to catch 3 buses to get to work. When am I going to start being able to benefit from my sacrifice?
Right. Well, we certainly thank you, Manson, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
To further explain the D15 project.
Yes.
And how and why people need to participate. Is there a contact, a number, a website, location?
Well, you can contact me directly. My telephone number is area code 313-469-4272. Again, 313-469-4272. You can call me. If you need more information, you need location, you need a ride, transportation, wherever you need information, location, transportation, I'm in your nation.
All right.
I'm a little poet myself.
I see. I'm just surrounded by all this good stuff.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to take a break. Stay tuned. And we are back. That was certainly a spirited discussion and interview with 2 people who are working very seriously and very hard on the D15 project. You know, there's something I want to mention in the last few minutes of our program. It has to do with Cobo Hall. There was a question this morning on the program. Is the mayor of Detroit pandering, or is he showing the black community he loves them? Well, I say it's a distraction from the criminal activity that is related to the land bank and the criminal activity that is also related to demolition and all of the other trickery that is going on in that arena. You know, question was, well, why didn't some of the past mayors come up and try and change the name of Cobo Hall? Well, I guess you could go all the way back to Mayor Coleman Alexander Young when he became mayor in 1973. He was elected. Why didn't he do it? Well, let's say this. A couple of months ago, there was a gentleman who was passing petitions around with a question: do you want to change the name of Cobo Hall to Joe Louis Convention Center? Which I think is an excellent idea. Now, all of a sudden, the mayor wants to sell the naming rights of Cobo Hall like they did Comerica Park to Comerica. Well, whether that's a good or bad idea. The trick is in trying to create a distraction from the criminal activity going on in the land bank. Another manager of the land bank has quit again, I guess, not wanting to be caught up in indictments. The criminal activity that's going on with the demolition and all of the other criminal activity that's surrounding that. To change the name of Cobo Hall, is it pandering? Or is it showing concern for the community? Well, I say that it is a distraction by the mayor. You know, it's like, don't look over there at the criminality that's going on. Look over here. Because after all, Cobo was a crook. Cobo was a racist. He was the one initiating 3 freeways that cut through Paradise Valley, Black Bottom, and all of the other areas where many of our people had settled. 3 freeways dividing the city, furthering segregation in the city. And you might want to know, you can look it up, Cobo was going to be going to prison anyway. He dropped dead first, so much for that. Then Mariani became mayor of the city of Detroit. Of course, he did go to prison. Mariani and his sons went to prison. So it seems like there was a lot of criminality to go around during that time. Started back around, the late 40s and continued for a while. But today, we have another set of criminal issues that are being researched. We are even being told that a grand jury has been impaneled. Why would you do that? Unless you were about to indict somebody. Go figure. But we need to continue doing our own investigations of what's going on and making our own decisions of what is best for us here in the city of Detroit. As I say, it's not necessary for you to know everything, but what is necessary is for you to know how to find what you need when you need it. We encourage you to join Hood Research. As we seek out as much information as we can, we also bring people in to share information with you. But we want to have us all make better informed decisions.
As I always say, if you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you're finished.
And remember, it's hoodresearch.org website. Telephone number is 248-234-2371. Tune in again next Monday, 9 a.m. Peace.
And stay tuned for Get in the Know
with Marley B.